Hi, I'm Mary.
And I'm Katie, and this is The Housewife Did It
Pop culture edition.
at Night.
Yeah.
All right, we
All
have a
right.
lot today. So,
Yeah, we'll start with small-ish things. None of them are really super small,
mm-hmm.
but we're gonna do our best. So first, rumors began swirling this week that Raquel is not returning for Vanderpump Rules season 11 because she and an unnamed but disgruntled housewife are planning on, quote, taking down Bravo.
Mm-hmm.
Speculation is that the former housewife in question is Bethany Frankel, and that she's maybe hoping for reality TV stars to join the writers and actors strike. This is, I guess, a rumor anymore,
Yeah,
and we're gonna get into why it doesn't seem to be a rumor anymore
that will,
later.
yep, that will be our biggest section.
Yeah. Um, but I put that in there before. Next, Michael Orr, the real football player behind The Blind Side, says he found out in February that his adoption by Leanne and Sean Toohey was a lie and that he had actually signed himself into a conservatorship.
Mm-hmm.
And free everyone from conservatorships, like at this point. Like, I mean, I think that it seems like there are legitimate reasons for conservatorships to exist and have been put in place as a legal system in the first place, but like there's no reason for him to have signed into a conservatorship.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's
Um,
like, in order to be an adult and, like, get granted, like, a guardian, or, like, even someone who, like, pays your bills for you, like a representative payee, like, you have to prove that, like, you have that need. So I think
mhm,
it's like that you are incapable
right.
of doing it on your own. So I think it has never made a whole lot of sense to me how easy it is to
Yeah.
get a conservatorship over someone. Like, for what reason? Like, how did Michael or Britney Spears or anyone, like, display that they were, like, did not have the mental capacity
Right.
to do that on their own?
Yeah. I don't get it. People from the Blindside cast and the Tui family have spoken out about it. Um, the opinions are kind of all over the place, but
I will say, as people from Memphis, I don't think anyone's shocked.
no. Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Tom Schwartz went full beach Ken
Mm-hmm.
this week. He dyed his hair super blonde.
Yep. Yep. Rumors are going around. Um, it's not really with Schwartz, but I guess with Katie, that Katie hooked up with Max, former Tom Tom manager, and the best is that Katie is hooking up with Tom Schwartz's new girl. Her name is
Mm-hmm.
Tori. To which I say, she did warn you that she would run train through your restaurant.
Yeah.
So,
When I saw people saying Max, I thought they meant like Lisa's son. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's a like an interesting choice." Okay,
yeah, no.
but the Tom Tom guy makes more sense. So in Big Brother this week, Heisem was HOH and had the power of veto. He put Riley and Cameron on the block. As part of the HOH competition, Jared got stuck in the damn nether region.
Mm-hmm.
And when he came back, he chose for Jag to go back in his place. And then Jag came back and sent Bowie Jane in his place. I don't really get
Mm-mm.
it. It seems pointless to
Mm-hmm.
me. Like they come back with like a little like snippet of info, but like I just don't really get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like a slight disadvantage because you're missing out on conversations,
Yeah.
but like, and then Jag was like safe from nomination, which I guess is like where it's relevant.
Yeah.
But everyone is complaining that like the episodes show is focusing way too much on the goddamn nether region, and there's so much like relevant content happening in the live feeds that we're not seeing. Like, people were like, if they were taking content, Izzy would be the star of this season, and we haven't seen shit from Izzy. Instead, we're just looking at the fucking nether region that does nothing. This is so stupid.
Right. I don't get it. Heisem gave a very pointed veto speech, basically telling everyone that they have to vote Riley out, because it's what he wants. And even his alliance is pissed, just by how, like, demanding the speech was, and, like, how he's kind of making himself the unofficial leader of their alliance. And, like, we see in the episode, he pulls them into the HOH room, starts telling them, like, you need to, which I think is a good snippet of advice, but, like, again, like, telling people what they have to do, and, like, after he's already rubbed people the wrong way with it, he's like, you have to find someone from the other alliance to team up with, so we have numbers.
But he says it like it's so obvious.
Yeah. Like, I've only seen people suggest that, like, I think one other time in Big Brother.
Well, they did it in the cookout, but they, like, said, like, I think this should be our strategy. He just said it like, well, so obviously you'll have a buddy. And it's like, what? But also that conversation, like, people say this phrase sometimes. They say, like, he asks questions and answers them for himself. I've never seen someone actually do it, like, so directly. He would just ask the question and then be like, and the answer is, and you're like, what? Like, literally, people were just, like, words still halfway out of their mouth, and he's like, right, and the answer is, and I'm like, good God, dude.
Yeah, at one point, after all of those things that he demands from his alliance members, they kind of come up with a plan to instead eliminate Cameron. I think in an effort to, like, kind of show Heisem that they're not into it anymore. But ultimately, Riley is unanimously eliminated.
Which I do think is smart, to, like, keep him thinking that they're on his side, so.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to be backdoored. Yeah, he's like, I don't know, there are just some people that, like, the way they play the game, you have to backdoor them. So, we'll see. And lastly, the biggest of the small updates, on Claim to Fame, JR is the next next person to fall victim to not being able to identify Chris's relative. He guesses Billy Idol and is eliminated. JR is revealed to be Lil Nas X's big brother, and he says he's so proud of him and that he's learned so much about the, quote, LBGTQ community through his baby brother.
Cute.
He learned so much, but not the acronym. My husband and I have been talking about this, and, like, it's all over my TikTok. Like, these people, like, don't know who Donny Osmond is, I think, is the ultimate problem. Like, they're gonna find out who his relative is, and they're gonna be like, who? At one point, they even discussed if it could be Prince. And I just... if they're guessing that Chris's relative is a black man, then I think that they are far beyond the point of ever figuring it out. Like, he's going to win based on their lack of knowledge.
Every single person is going to guess him, but he's still gonna win.
It's crazy. Which I honestly, like, Sammy and I have talked about, like, I think that it could be very similar for Monet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that Chris is gonna know who Monet's relative is. I'm trying to think of who else is left. I don't think Carson would know who his relative is, or who her relative is. But, like, I think what's making it frustrating about Chris is that they just keep trying without being certain, when, like, I feel like they're pretty certain now who Carson's is because they guessed Jeff Gordon and they were wrong. And, like, I think there's only one other plausible explanation of who's hers is. And so I think it's crazy that they keep guessing Chris. We also see in this episode the end of Chris and Gabriel's alliance, it seems. Chris tries to come clean to Gabriel about sharing his clue with Carson, and Gabriel reveals that he actually overheard the conversation where Chris showed the clue to Carson. He was standing in the next room and he could hear it. So they get into a screaming match that ends with Gabriel saying Chris probably isn't used to being held accountable for his actions. And Chris gets very upset and he's like, "Don't you ever say that to me again." My opinion on this, I think it's always difficult in these kinds of shows when they have to like toe the line between being loyal and playing a game. And so I don't think that it's the end of the world that Chris showed Carson Gabriel's clue. I think, one, the fact that Gabriel was able to overhear them is a very bad move on Chris's part. Like, you should have been more discreet. And two, trying to tell Gabriel about it afterwards, it just makes you look like chicken. Because basically he says, like, freaking gnat.
Whoa, a gnat just flew by me too.
Oh,
Weird.
I'm afraid it's gonna fly in my mouth while I'm talking. Basically, he says that the reason he showed Carson the clue is because he was pretty sure that's who they were going to guess. So he thought she was going home. So he thought, like, she would learn, she would help him, and then she'd go home, and it wouldn't be a problem. Like, but if you're doing something like that where you are betraying someone in a game like this, it is a game. They will get over it. It will be okay. But, like, don't tell them. Double down. That's when you double down.
Yeah.
In my
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I were Gabriel and I overheard that conversation, I too would like never trust Chris again. Also, our alliance would be over for me. But at the same time, like, I can't say that I wouldn't share the clue. So yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing about like being in a game is like Gabriel's response to that quote unquote betrayal is like fair because now he knows like this is not a person who's going to keep my secrets.
Right.
But I also like I think Chris just needed to know that that's the risk. Like that is the risk that you run. If you were not ready to lose Gabriel, if you were not ready to upset him, then you should not have done that. You know, like you have to weigh is it more important to keep Gabriel or is it more important to know the answer to this clue? And if you chose the betrayal, that's fine. But yeah, like you just got to know that.
Yeah, and like go somewhere that's not the living room.
Yeah.
Stop sharing your secrets in the living room.
Yeah.
That's all I have for little stuff.
On to kind of big and kind of random. So I've been watching Love Island. Started watching Love Island USA mostly because Ariana Madix was going to be a guest host for a challenge. But I know that most people don't really watch USA, or not as much as people watch UK because it's the original. So bear with me, but there was some internet drama with the US version. So the internet thinks that one of the couples on this season may have known each other prior to the show, and that basically they're there to cheat the show into winning. So in Love Island, you win $100,000 at the end if America votes you their favorite couple. At this point,
or like you split it.
I think you split it. I haven't gotten to the end of any season yet, so I'm not sure. And they don't like talk about the money like they do in like Big Brother all the time, where they're like, and this is how much money you're gonna get. So at this point though, America is not gonna let them win. Simply because of this Reddit theory. Some think that maybe they just knew of each other, but they weren't necessarily a couple. I think that if that was the case, this is a little too coincidental, and they would have like walked in, seen each other, and like acknowledged knowing each other. So I think our options are they didn't know each other or they're scamming us. Like I think that's it. So Carmen and Kenzo both live in Scottsdale, Arizona. You don't like the name Kenzo?
No.
Okay. While it might seem weird that they're on this show and they are from the same place, they were not the only ones. There were 2 other people that recognized each other from going to the same gym as soon as they walked onto the show. So I don't know what's up with this or how they recruit people.
What if like they're scamming and like part of the thing is like openly admit we know who each other is so that it seems like this is like casual and normal.
Well, the people that recognized each other never formed a couple, and one of them is gone now. So, not a good scam, if so. So, basically, there are separate posts on their Instagrams that make people think that Kenzo and Carmen go to the same gym, because there are pictures of them in the same gym, but separately, and that they might use the same trainer in Scottsdale. To which I say, is that really that weird in the same town? Like, if we already know they're from the same town, is going to the same gym really that weird? Like,
right.
I don't know. I live in a big city, and I still don't know that there's just so many gyms to choose from that, like, you wouldn't see someone I know in my gym. But whatever. So, this week, Kenzo officially asked Carmen to be his girlfriend. They did say on the show that they actually just realized they live 10 minutes from each other, but they've never met. Love Island runs kind of like Big Brother, so it's like current and someone else has to like run their social media while they're there. So Kenzo's brother went on his Instagram and made a statement saying that Kenzo and Carmen did not know each other before the show. He says Kenzo stopped going to that gym months before the show and that he does not and has never used a personal trainer. So, I mean, take from that what you will. The other thing about Love Island is that, like, when new bombshells or guest hosts come in, they make it clear that they've been watching the show. So it's not like Big Brother where, like, they're completely shut off from outside information. And they did a challenge once where they were, like, guessing America's answers to things. So, like, who does America think is in this for fame? Who do they think is the most boring? And they get to hear the answers. So, like, Carmen was voted most likely to be in it for fame. And she was, like, quite alarmed by that. But so I wonder if like someone will either come in or if they'll do a challenge that like tells them about this rumor and then they'll get to address it. But like obviously right now, like they don't really know there's anything to address.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see. Unfortunately, I do like them together. I will say, I think what freaks people out is that they seemed to have formed, like, a very, like, love at first sight connection, but, like, we didn't really see why. Like, they just really liked each other, and we were like, they're both really boring. Why do they like each other so much? We didn't get to see much, like, conversation, but I also think we have to remember, like, that could easily just be an editing thing. Like, they're not getting as much screen time because they're not fighting and they're not having drama. And so, I don't know. But surely we'll find out eventually.
Yeah. All right. So, in the spirit of moving away from, like, recapping shows, now that we have so many, and kind of moving toward giving our opinion and gossiping about the shows, we're going to talk about Men Tell All. Also, it was boring, so we're going to spice up Men Tell All.
Lame.
So we're going to start with Brayden, and more specifically, did Brayden call Charity classless? We talked when this happened on the pod, and neither of us remember hearing him explicitly say she was classless, but everyone else in the world says that they do remember this. But on Men Tell All, they said that they searched for footage and couldn't prove he said it. So then I think maybe he didn't, because like it was like it would have been one scene to watch through.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they would have found it.
Yeah.
So I think it was implied.
Right.
But I don't think he explicitly said it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking is, like, at first I thought, like, I bet he did say it, but they didn't air it. Like, It just didn't make the cut. But if they're saying they're not even finding the footage, but
Right.
I also think we get a little too simplistic on this show, and we're like, no, I did not say that. But, like, you basically did. Like,
Right.
I'm not, like, whatever, yeah, I guess technically he shouldn't have gone to her and said you said that word, but, like, he was giving her a synopsis of what you said about her, and you did feel disrespected, and you did say, I don't understand, like, why someone would do this. It makes me question who she is, what kind of person she is, like, and I think the insinuation was that it made you question how classy she is.
Right.
So I
definitely think that was the implication.
Yeah.
Yeah. We find out that Brayden will be on Paradise, and they give us a spoiler on one of his connections. They show us, I think, a pretty lengthy scene of him talking to and making out with Kat from Zach's season. I also personally think, and I've said this before, that he will be more likable and more successful on Paradise because there isn't a lead.
Yeah,
I think like
so.
that was his big thing that he said was like, she's always on, she's always the Bachelorette, and I think that if he's in his head about that, then I think that he will be more open on Paradise, where they're, I mean, yes, they're still on a TV show, but I don't know, they're not, it's not like one person trying to decipher who they're picking and trying to be fair to everyone. And like I do see like how the Bachelor and the Bachelorette have to act certain ways. Do I think that Charity was being fake? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I think that like he'll be out of his head with that in Paradise.
Yeah. And I think, I don't remember if I said this last time, but like I just find Bachelor and Bachelorette so incredibly boring at this point. And like I think the fun about Paradise, both for viewers and hopefully for Brayden, is that like you get to clown, you get to shit show a little bit, you get to like, that's what we're here for. Like we're not here. Bachelorette is like, I think personally, maybe me and Brayden are on the same page. Not that I would have acted like him, but it's just too serious. Like it's just like it takes itself way too seriously. And so I think him being able to maybe a little, I understand it's still produced, but maybe a little more naturally form connections, I think will be good.
And it doesn't, I think that like, this chair. I think that one thing that gets brought up on Bachelor and Bachelorette is like, very rarely gets brought up, but has been brought up before, is this idea that you're all coming here and this person is looking to see who they're going to fall in love with. Like, what if you get there and you're not into them? Like, you're not into the lead. And so I think that...
And if you were to say that, then you're a villain.
Right. And I think that's what makes Paradise so successful, especially for someone like Brayden, who is feeling a lot of pressure in his relationship with Charity. It gives you the chance to like find someone that you really connect with, and it feels more natural, like you said. Like it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm so into her and I met to talk to her one time.
Right. And I think on Paradise, they have this idea, they say it all the time on Paradise, and it's so crazy to me that this is from the same franchise, but they say it all the time, like, well, I want you to go test, and they say this on Love Island too, but I want you to go test other connections, and if like we land on each other because we're confident that each other is the best choice, like I don't want to just come in here and be tunnel visioned for you and then we find out later it's not going to work in the real world, right? Like that's why you talk to other people, whatever. And like obviously that's what you have to do on The Bachelorette. You have to, after one conversation, you better be feeling like you could fall in love with this girl, because I bet the other guys are, and if you're behind them, you don't get to the end. Right. So it's like in Paradise, you can be like, she's more my type. She's more my type. Ooh, she made me mad. Like, you know, you can. Right. That's how you date in the real world.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I don't want to diminish what these men have found with Charity, who are still in the game. I think that like the connections she has formed with Dotton and Joey seem very genuine. I think that they have very good reasons to be into her, and I think it worked out great. But the odds, which like Charity's a great girl,
Yeah.
but like that you are going to mesh with all
30, 25.
25 guys on their end, I think is like unlikely. And I liked Paradise better, and I think that it is better suited for most people in the franchise.
Yeah.
Moving on to the most confusing part of Men Tell All. Peter exposes the men of the house for cyberbullying him. Apparently, when some of the men, I know Cowboy Caleb, Brayden, and Xavier were in on it, posted their headshots for the show, they added the letters FP at the bottom of their post, which apparently is supposed to stand for fuck Peter. I think everyone was confused because who the fuck cares enough about Peter to cyberbullying him?
Yeah.
Apparently he made such a bad impression on the one night he was on the show that the men needed to band together and shade him online. He says Brayden is the one that told him what it meant, and all of the men have since removed it from their caption. Xavier apologized on the show because that's not who he wants to be.
But
I think
he followed it up by saying, but we never intended for you to know. It was an inside joke that we hoped you would never find out about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Xavier says there's a lot of things that he doesn't want to be that he is.
Yeah, but see, I'm feeling like the common thread here is that there's a lot of things he doesn't want to be found out to be.
Yes.
He is those things. He just really hopes no one ever finds out.
Right. I think one of the funniest parts of this was that ABC was blurring out the letter F when they showed the screenshots.
Yeah.
It was just hilarious. Like the letter F, like, come on. Peter couldn't even figure out what it meant.
Yeah. Well,
they
were bleeping everyone, and I kept thinking, like, are they not saying F? Like, are they saying fuck? And so they're having to bleep them, but why would they say fuck if fuck isn't, like, what was written in the caption?
Right.
So I was confused on why they were bleeping them, and then, they showed it and they blurred it, and I was like, oh, no, they're bleeping them saying FP. They're bleeping them saying the letter. Come on now.
It's silly. I really don't know what my opinion is on this because I just don't get it. Like, they gave some examples of, like, how Peter rubbed them the wrong way that I just really don't see as, like, I don't know. I feel like if somebody bothered me in that way, I wouldn't be like, let's all post FP on our captions. That'd be so funny. Like,
and you banded together with Brayden to do this? Like, Peter was so much worse than Brayden?
Right. Y'all are 30-year-old men. Why are you doing... This is weird. I don't know what I think, because I think it's weird.
Yeah. I wish that they had, like that night had showed us, like, some unseen footage from night one of Peter being an asshole. Like, I need context here.
Yeah, like, they gave examples, but, like, they were like, oh, he was like, oh, who do you think is here for the wrong reasons? Like, okay.
Yeah, one of them said, like, and then you looked.
Bad?
Yeah, he was like, you looked directly into the camera. And I'm like,
and you like, showed your body off. Like, okay, like, yeah, that's annoying, but, like, why is it cyberbullying worthy? I don't
Also, he's like, you unbuttoned your jacket. Like, I'm sorry, unbuttoning your suit jacket is what you do when you sit down in a suit jacket.
I simply don't care.
Yeah. This is absurd drama.
I don't get it. Yeah. It was weird. And they, like, said it like everyone knew what they were talking about. Like, they were like,
yeah, Peter, everyone hates you.
Yeah, Peter, tell us the internet drama. And people, I saw people on social media being like, I started Googling. I was like, what did I miss? This is, like, the first anyone's heard of this. Because it's stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. Xavier is the next topic of conversation. first of all, I feel like I felt every ounce of admiration I had for Xavier leave my body on the night he went home. Like the conversation he had with Charity that night was so bad
Mm-hmm.
that just like everything that I liked about him, I was like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, like I don't know. After that moment, like I officially had the ick,
Mm-hmm.
and so now everything he does, I'm like, ugh, no. Um, but Charity holds her ground with him and essentially like reiterates everything she said when she sent him home. Like, you had a chance to tell me this, you waited. You also waited until I was putting you in the car to tell me you loved me,
Mm-hmm.
which didn't make a lot of sense and seemed like you were just trying to get me to backtrack and like that wasn't going to happen. So I'm proud of her for that.
Yeah. I saw a tweet like from her, but I don't really know
Mhm.
if it's actually her because I don't know Twitter or X is like verification system anymore or if she
Mhm.
even has one anymore, and it only had like 6,000 followers. But then I was confused because there's not another one for her. But anyway, I saw a tweet that's either from her or from a fan account of hers that was funny, and it said, "Reclaiming my time. We aren't having a whole segment again on the same conversation. Next." Which is like, whether she tweeted that or not, like, I do feel like that's probably how she felt. Like,
Yeah.
I don't,
This is a waste of my time for the
yeah.
second time.
Like, I understand I have to have a hot seat conversation with the guy that I sent home on overnight week, but, like, Xavier seemed to just be saying the same stuff, too, you know?
Yeah, he tells her in their conversation that he does not in any way condone cheating, which is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Because you literally told her that you didn't know if you could not cheat on her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, what? I don't know. I'm just like really still shocked by his behavior that night. And I think that my feelings from that like poured over into the men tell all. And not even the knit rose could bring me back to him. Like I am just so far gone with disdain for him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I will fully admit, unpopular opinion, I thought the knit rose was cute, but I do think I, like, viewed it as, like, more like closure, more like he's just like,
Yeah. Like
sorry,
an olive
but I'm done.
branch.
Yeah, but I think like the internet did not seem to feel that way. Like people felt like it was still him trying to like change something. Um, so I don't
That's all right.
know. I mean, I don't know his intention, but when I first watched it happen, I thought like, okay, he knows this is over, but he's just like trying to do something nice, but maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah. I loved her talking to Deanna, Trista, and Desiree. It was so sweet. It felt so girl power. Like I felt like I was watching the Barbie movie again, and I felt like those three women were America Ferrera. Uh,
Yeah.
like the advice they were giving her, and just like the way they were rallying around her for standing her ground, and then like the way that they even like rallied around Deanna when she was talking about her divorce. It just is so sweet. I think we should do away with The Bachelor, and we should only do The Bachelorette from now on, and we should always let previous Bachelorettes host it.
Yeah, I did appreciate bringing back older, like further back bachelorettes, because we haven't seen them in a while. However, I have seen a lot of complaints, which I think is fair, that there have been four black leads on The Bachelorette, and not one of them came to support Charity, which I think is indicative of Michelle, Tasha, Rachel, Charity.
Okay.
So three could have been sitting in those exact spots, and they
Right.
did not come back. And people feel, and I agree, that that is like indicative of the relationship The Bachelor has with their leads of color. And at this point, like that needs to be mended. Like it feels like, oh God, you're having to reach back to get Desiree and Deanna, like when you have people that would love to be there for Charity but they just refuse to be on your show, like that sucks. That doesn't look good.
Yeah. Who co-hosted with Caitlyn?
Tasha.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then I was thinking that they were co-hosting on her season.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
It was on Katie's season. Katie and Michelle's.
Okay. Yes, I remember. All right. Yeah, I do think that's a fair point, though.
Yeah, I didn't mean to ruin your excitement about the ladies.
No,
Yeah.
the half the time you were talking, I was thinking like, who was it with Caitlyn?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree though. I think that that's a really good point, and I think that that is something that we have seen be true and be admitted more recently with The Bachelor. Yeah, and we talked about that a little bit with like the difference between like influencer deals that like Rachel Lindsay gets versus like what Becca Kufrin gets.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's fair. I hope that like the more that they choose leads of color, people of color to be leads, the better that relationship will become.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. That almost like worries me because it seems like it's not. Like we've had like those four, I mean, other than Rachel Lindsay, like those last 3 Black women have all been very recent, and it does not feel like the relationship has gotten any better. And so it feels to me like, okay, cool, we're going to cast you as a lead because we need to, but then we're not going to take any care of you afterwards.
Yeah.
And we're not going to like foster a relationship with you. And so I think we just have to see, like maybe Charity will be like a wave of new, and I do think obviously they have a lot of really lovely men of color to choose from for next season, so like I guess we'll just see going forward, but it doesn't seem good.
I've heard like, think of the last time you saw Matt James post anything related to being the Bachelor.
Right.
Yeah. I had a friend at work who asked me who I thought the Bachelor would be next, and she kind of said like, I think it's going to have to be a Black man because the last few seasons that they've picked these like same country ass looking white men have been so unsuccessful.
Yeah.
And so strongly disliked. Like, I don't think they'll do it again. And I think that that's true. But I also think that it's insane that that's how The Bachelor views that, is like, because that's what Chris, what's his name? Harrison got in trouble for.
Right.
Was saying, I don't think we should have a Black lead because people wouldn't watch it.
But the thing is, like, that's literally what they did. That's what they did with Charity's season. Like, when you're making it later, you're making it shorter. Like, we're not stupid. Like, you didn't think her season would be successful.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, I agree. Many Black men, especially this many very likable men of color this season, I think it would be, like, absurd that you couldn't. Not like that you should be looking or, like, you need to choose a person because they're Black, but your best options this season are Black men. So it would feel like you are deliberately going out of your way to not pick a Black man if you don't.
Right.
Unless you pick Joey. Unless at the end Joey doesn't get picked and you pick him. But other than that. It's so intermittent.
I know.
She's like, I take a break.
Jerry!
She said, Mom. Yes?
Yeah, I think that's the problem, is that I think that they view it like, okay, this season with a white man was unsuccessful, so we need to use a black lead next. And I think that that's not the way to look at it.
You
I
just need
think
to
the way to
pick
look
the
at it is
likable
like,
person.
who did America like the most on this freaking season? Pick them.
Yeah.
It like I still
I know.
think it's crazy that they never made Mike the Bachelor.
Mike Johnson.
Everyone
Crazy.
was begging.
And then
for
you
them
went
to
for
go
Matt
to the Bachelor.
James, who we don't even
Right.
fucking
And-
know. You picked up a man off the street.
People started speculating that they must have asked Mike to be the Bachelor, and he said no. And he was like, I have never in my life been asked to be the Bachelor.
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That many people are asking for it. Like, go, like, literally, Mike Fleiss, how hard is it to go on Twitter and read the tweets from each show?
Just do
Or
a
just a few
fucking
of them.
poll.
And
Let
see
us
who
pick.
people like.
Like,
No one, if you had made a poll from Rachel and Gabby's season, not a single fucking person would have asked for Zach to be the Bachelor.
except people who hate Rachel. Like, people that just, like, wanted to hate her.
I would have
but-
picked anyone from Gabby's side
Yeah.
over Zach. I would have picked anyone from Rachel's side over Zach. He was the worst.
Yeah.
I-
Quick on this, people do think the Bachelor could still be Brayden, so I'll rip my eyeballs out.
That would be crazy.
Okay, next.
So last thing we see on Mental L, we spend a pretty good chunk of the show getting to know the Golden Bachelor, Gary. He talks about his daughters and his wife and about how her death affected him. He specifically talks about how, like, how they met, how they built their life together, and then how she got sick and very quickly passed away. And it was, like, very hard on him because it was so unexpected and it just happened very fast. My favorite part of this was when Jesse Palmer asked him if he thought he'd be able to find a love like he had with Tony, his late wife. And Gary says something that is, like, seriously so beautiful. Like, I'm gonna be so cheese about it right now. He says that he doesn't think he'll ever find a love like Tony because she was the love of his life and the mother of his children, and they got together so young. But what he's looking for now is different. He's looking for someone to spend the rest of his life with. He's looking for a companion to share the rest of his days with, not the love of his life.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I had the love of my life.
Mm-hmm.
She passed away, and, like, that's horrible and sad, and I miss her every day, and I will never find someone that I love as much as her, but I can find someone that I love, that I want to spend all of my time with, that I want to spend my future with. And he's like, I want different things than I did when I was 20.
Yeah.
And I just think that's such a good point for him to make, especially before he heads into his journey. Because, like, if he's as open about it on Mental All, like, he's going to be open about it with the women on his season. And I just think that's a very good way to build a foundation for his season. And I think that'll make things go well for him.
Yeah, and I think it's a good distinction for people to know, like, we're not watching the same. Yeah. This isn't the same as normal seasons. Like, this is a different thing people are looking for.
I really liked him. He was so funny. Like, he doesn't look as old as he is.
I know.
And so they're like, you're trending, and he's like, what's trending?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's everything from Intel All. And I'm just going to quickly move on because we got to talk about Rachel's interview with Bethany Frankel.
This is going to be a long episode, I think, folks.
Yeah.
And it's Bethany Frankel's fault, so you can call her because she put out 3 fucking parts in 3 days. So
3?
Oh, yeah. So I listened to part 3. Oh.
Okay, good.
I'm
busy today.
Yeah. It's absurd.
Yeah. So Rachel Leviss went on Bethany Frankel's podcast Plural?
I think just B.
The episodes were on both
Oh,
because I
okay.
listened to it from Rewives.
Oh, okay.
She happened to post them. She really wanted people to hear it.
Yeah.
She posted all 3 parts on both of her podcasts. They did a reality reckoning interview and quote used Rachel's own voice to go over Scandal. This also marks Rachel's reintegration to Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It felt more like Bethany's own voice.
Yeah.
And I want it to be known that Rachel was not paid to do Bethany's podcast. Although, fun fact, in part 3, Bethany did say she flew to Arizona to conduct the interview. So, no more worries about Rachel having to pay for her own flight to Bethany. But she still did not get paid to do the interview. So,
yeah, it feels like after listening to it, we have taken so many steps back from where we were with this damn affair after reunion.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I have so many mixed feelings. And I sound exhausted about this because I am. I feel like mental health treatment was beneficial for Rachel. She seems better equipped to articulate her thoughts and feelings, whether that just means like language has been put to her thoughts and feelings or like she really understands herself. I don't really know, but it seems like it has done her some good when she starts talking in part 1. But the thing is that Bethany Frankel is taking advantage of and manipulating her in the exact same way that Tom did, probably in the exact same way that James did. And I just feel like it's causing her to move right back because she's once again being given justifications and being told that what she did was not wrong, that there are other people to blame, that she doesn't need to take full accountability, that, like, she can be sorry, but blah, 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 like, but. And I just think, like, I just don't know anymore. Like, obviously we've seen Rachel do some really awful and malicious and they had to have been deliberate things that she did. Mm-hmm. However, like, they just feel like they never are originally her idea.
Yeah.
They're always planted into her, but she is so easily convinced that they are valid and that the person is telling the truth that's saying them to her. And so it just, like, I'm, like, frustrated with her, but I'm also like, can y'all stop fucking with this girl?
Yeah.
Leave her alone.
No one talk to her.
Stop.
Anymore. Don't say words to her.
Let her just find, I don't know, because I don't really trust the kind of man she's going to find anyway. But, like, let her just, like, live an Arizona life. Like, leave her alone.
Yeah. Yeah. My, like, overall takeaway from listening to this is I don't really understand the idea of doing a tell-all after the reunion where she essentially disregards everything she said to Ariana and company at the time of the reunion, and then doubled down on her actions instead. Mm-hmm. I think if you're going to be that contradictory, you have to give some sort of explanation of why your stories don't match up, or like why you basically lied at one point, whether that's you lied at the reunion or you're lying now. Like but you have to explain. You can't just like say a bunch of things that are all different and just hope people believe the newest version.
Yeah.
He also goes against things she said even prior to the scandal breaking about her friendships with Ariana and Sheena, now calling them alliances and claiming that Tom was her only real friend.
Yep.
Initially, I did want to go into it listening, and we talked about this, but like with the knowledge that eventually she will have to be a better person. This won't be who she is forever, especially now that she has that 90 days in a treatment facility under her belt. Like, eventually she won't be half of Scandal, you know? That has to happen. I also, like, respect the idea that she's trying to reinvent herself, but listening to it, it almost sounds like she and Bethany talk about Raquel and Rachel like she has dissociative identity disorder. they kind of imply that Raquel is the one that did this, and now Rachel is suffering the consequences, when in reality, Rachel did this, and Rachel has to grow and learn and do work and prove that she has changed in order to move on from it. But it's the same person that did it.
Yeah, it's so weird. And I think it's connected to, I think probably the next thing we're going to talk about, which is just like trying to blame this like culture. So like Raquel is like a beast created by reality TV, and it's like,
even though Raquel was born in first grade.
Yeah, right? Girl, let me say something that I will say 100 more times through this little section. You can't have both.
Yeah.
Just stay tuned. I'll say it again, guys. But I'm first one now. You can't have both.
Yeah. Listening to them try to blame the affair on other castmates being her role models and like her like being led by bad behavior is ludicrous, especially followed by her saying that honesty is one of her core values. The thing is, like, I have been friends with bad people. I think everyone has been friends with bad people, but I personally know right from wrong enough to know that if my friends jump off a bridge, I'm not going to jump off a bridge too. Like, where was Raquel's mom when she was a child to remind her that if your friends jump off a bridge, are you going to jump too? Because my mom said it every damn day. And I learned that you don't do everything your friends do. Like, it just is, like, it feels like grasping at straws to blame anyone else.
Yeah, I'm getting so sick of people on reality TV acting like, I didn't have a warning. Again, I say, your 30 fucking years of living was your warning. Like,
yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, Rachel's saying like, but I learned from them how to make good TV. But it's like, you didn't have this affair to be good at your job. Like, you've admitted that. This wasn't like a thing you were like, this will be interesting TV. Like, you didn't do that on purpose because you had role models who taught you how to make good TV. Because
she talks about it like she did Vanderpump Rules a favor.
Right.
Like, intentionally.
Yeah, and it's like, if it were up to you and Tom, this never would have gotten out. So, like, what do you mean? When we say, like, Sheena's good at making TV, we mean because she's fucking weird, and she's loud, and she be, like, doing stupid shit. We don't mean because she has secret affairs. Secrets are not great for TV, because we don't know about them. You also, it got exposed when you weren't even filming, and it was Bravo that made good TV because they decided to come back and film you. So I'm like, I don't understand. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
I don't get it.
I'm going to keep yelling, so just bear with me.
Saying it makes 3 to make an affair scandal was disgusting because only 2 of the 3 were on board with making the affair or were even knowledgeable of it. The 3rd didn't know what was happening for 7 months.
It's like saying that it takes 2 to have a non-consensual sex act. Like,
right.
Ariana did not consent to this. So, like, how would she... I don't understand.
Right.
Also, like, Bethany Frankel, you want your husband to have an affair, and then you're going to be like, well, it's a 3rd my fault.
Crazy. Also, Rachel, you do not get paid extra because your bad behavior is garnishing attention. Just like I am not going to give a child a toy because they're screaming at the top of their lungs for it. Like, just because you are doing the wrong thing the loudest does not mean you are going to get what you want for it. That's ridiculous. And we're going to come back to that later because then she kind of says the same thing. So, in the same way that Rachel claims Ariana was made out to be her best friend in the media to make the affair more salacious, I think that Rachel's only claiming that they were acquaintances to do the opposite, like to calm it down. I know that we have used the wording best friends a lot when talking about Scandival, but I don't think anyone really thinks of Rachel as being as close to Ariana as, like, Sheena is. Like, I think we know that, like, Ariana and Sheena are, like, truly best friends.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we would couple Rachel in with them necessarily in that way. But I think, and this is exactly what Rachel said on the podcast, Ariana was someone who would have defended Rachel against almost anything, including this affair,
Mm-hmm.
out of the goodness of her heart, not just for the show, as Rachel implies it
Mm-hmm.
was. And that's what makes it such a big betrayal. Not
Yeah.
necessarily that you were best friends, but that this is someone who was consistently having your back
Mm-hmm.
and, like, defending her to, like, Katie.
Right.
Like, Ariana and Katie are business partners.
Yeah.
Ariana has known Katie for a very long time. Ariana and Katie are pretty close friends, I would say.
Yeah.
So even defending Rachel against Katie, like, if I had a friend who had, like, two best friends, and one of them was talking shit about me and I was the other one, and I found out that my friend was defending me to their other best friend, I would be flattered.
Yeah. Well, and,
Like,
like, I think it's clear that Ariana, Sheena, and Rachel, if they weren't yet, or if they weren't there, were on their way to a threesome. Like, not like a
mhm.
sex threesome, but like a,
Yeah,
like, okay,
a
picture this.
trio.
Picture this. Stassi, Katie, and Kristen. Do we all
Right.
know that Stassi and Katie were actually the best friends?
Right.
Yeah, we do. But if we said Kristen fucked one of her best friend's ex-boyfriends, no one would be like, oh, her and Stassi weren't best friends. Like,
Right.
just because she's, like, the least important of the three doesn't mean it's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she's trying all of a sudden to be like, whoa, now. Like, I wasn't
Yeah.
really a part of that. Like, yeah, you were. Like, y'all were, like, three all the time.
Yeah. She also says that she did believe the cast members were her true friends and that now they've shown that they aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I just gotta say, if true friendship means standing by you after you fucked my life partner, then I am no one's true friend.
Mm-hmm.
I am a true friend to none.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I also thought
like,
it was so disgusting, Bethany trying to act like because they're not married and don't have kids that this, like, is not really that big a deal.
I know. I think that was, like, the hardest part of listening to it was, like, they were downplaying it so much, and, like, I think that maybe you have to downplay it to make it okay to live with yourself. I don't know, because I've never fucked someone's boyfriend. But like, and I think that that's, like, along with the best friend thing, along, like, all of it, like, just trying over and over again to reiterate it wasn't that big a deal. And was it wrong to fuck someone's boyfriend? Yes. But could it have been worse?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they were trying to get at. Like,
Yeah.
It's not like Sheena fucked him.
Yeah.
That's what would have been the problem. Like, no, it's a problem for you to fuck anyone's boyfriend.
Or it's not like Ariana fucked Brock, who Sheena has a kid with. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, there's always a next level.
Yeah. You can't have sex with anyone else's person.
Mm-hmm. For
if they
7
don't want
months.
you to. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Honestly, I know that, like, the friendship is what makes it such a big deal, but, like, I don't care if you fucking knew her or not. You can't fuck her boyfriend.
Yeah.
She then says that Tom and Ariana still live together and reiterates the idea that they were not in a romantic relationship and hadn't been for a long time, and that she never would have gotten involved with him if they had been.
Mm-hmm.
I think she needs to shut the fuck up on this. She says she thinks this based on what Tom tells her as an insider, but it's what Tom is telling her as a manipulator and a cheater.
Mm-hmm.
Is what she's hearing. Ultimately, here's how I feel about it. Because I think her and Tom are saying the same thing. Even if Tom fully believes that he broke up with Ariana and Ariana just simply did not accept it, they are not Ariana.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot truly say how the affair affected Ariana. like, you can assume and you can try to find silver linings and try to make it okay all you want, but you cannot be sure what Ariana was experiencing and, like, how she felt about it afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you simply do not know.
I was like waiting for you to say more, and then I'm like, oh, that's purple. That's me. Also, again, my friend, we all know what's coming. You can't have both. So they're not in a relationship, apparently, not an authentic relationship. And also, he wanted to lie to spare Ariana's feelings because he knew that if she knew how long it would be worse. So why are there feelings involved if Ariana is just his business partner and has been for years and everyone knows this? Yeah. How
Also, you can't have both. She's complaining because Ariana really shouldn't care that much because she wasn't even dating Tom. Mm-hmm. But she's also, like, Ariana was so hurt. She was coming with such vitriol, like,
and I apologize for the hurt. That's what I can apologize for.
Ridiculous. We end part 1 talking about the video.
Yes.
And these are my final thoughts. I'm not going to say much on the video. Because I think that I think the video part is pretty black and white. It is horrible that he recorded her without her consent. Full stop, end of story, end of sentence.
Sorry.
It is horrible if Ariana sent it to anyone. When she, other than Rachel, when she texted her, she was dead to her. Mm-hmm. Full stop, end of sentence. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to defend Ariana if that's what happened, because she shouldn't have done that if she did.
I'm going to add something. I'm not messing up your full stop, but I think it's easy for Rachel to think, like, well, if she sent it to her phone, like, she could have done anything with it, and she probably did. Yeah. But I do think, like, she has to remember that Ariana knew who she was dealing with, and so I think that sending it to herself was, like, insurance.
Yeah.
Like, he cannot claim that I did not see this. He cannot claim that it was not there. He cannot tell me that it wasn't what I thought it was because I now have it. And I'm sure that I would hope that she doesn't anymore and that she doesn't just sit there and watch it. But, like, I think it was necessary for her to have that video in order to tell him, like, nope, I know this for a fact. Like, I can see it. I still have it. And just send it to Rachel and say, like, look what I just saw.
Yeah. I wish this for a lot of reasons, but I wish our podcast was big enough for Rachel to hear this message, because I think that she needs to pay attention to these types of opinions, the ones that aren't from the people who are fully on her side, but also aren't from the people who are directly involved, because I think that's where she's going to get the most honest feedback. I think she should be pissed about the video. I think she should be pissed that he lied to her. But please, for the love of God, stop saying that Ariana knew they were broken up and that Ariana overreacted, because, like, you don't know anything but what he has laid out for you. Mm-hmm. And you have now admitted in this podcast that you don't believe you loved him, that he filmed you without your consent, that, like, all of these things happened, that he was so manipulative about it even after the fact with the show specifically. Mm-hmm. Like, stop taking everything he said as Bible when it's about Ariana and for the benefit of you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because when the roles are reversed, you seem pretty pissed.
Yeah.
That he's doing things that are not in the benefit of you. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. On to part 2, starts off with her saying that Sheena did punch her. Mm-hmm. I mean, at this point, who fucking knows?
Yeah. She also points out that she has a permanent scar above her eyebrow. Is she talking about the scar that we found to be above her eyebrow from Sheena's vlog from the plane the day before Watch What Happens Live?
I think so. I think, like, the fact checking is irrelevant to her and Tom. And Tom probably said to her, like, just keep saying it. Just keep saying it. But, I mean, I don't know if I want to say this. out loud, but me and Mary have bounced around the idea that it's possible that people would lie for Sheena. Hypothetically. If she did punch someone, that Ariana and that group would be on her side. They would lie for her. So I'm not going to say that I, like, know for a fact either way. But I also just, like, don't really know that, like, Tom and Rachel are super reliable sources either. And, like you said, like, the scar thing, like, let the scar thing die. We have seen that scar, dude. Like, we come up with something else. Like, just say she punched you. And honestly, like, I don't know. But as soon as you start saying, like, and then she left me a permanent scar, like, yeah, it's permanent because it's probably, like, a goddamn birthmark. Like, come on now.
Also, like, I think it's fair for us to want to not say that we think Sheena punched her.
I don't know if Sheena punched her.
Because we don't know.
And I think the nails are a great alibi.
Yeah. I will say this. If Sheena punched her, I'm not mad at Sheena. Look, if somebody fucked Billy, I would punch them.
Yeah.
But I would do it. Well, so I don't blame her.
I thought it was so stupid that she was like, I don't think a restraining order was out of the question because when Sheena posted this picture of Ariana, she put a punching emoji. That's what made you think this was, like, ongoing risk of violence?
Because you know exactly what Sheena wanted in that moment was to be around you more.
Like, come on now. So Rachel says that on camera in that, like, post-Scandival episode, when they're recording in her apartment, that he admitted to recording that FaceTime without her permission. Mm-hmm. And we had heard rumors of this when Scandival broke and we hadn't gotten to see the episodes yet. But this is when apparently he told them, like, I will not film anymore unless you take that part out. Which I think tracks. Like, I frankly believe that.
Yeah.
I don't have any reason not to. She did say that Tom told her, again, Tom is not a reliable source, but that Tom told her that for season 11 he was offered a producer credit. That would be shocking to me. I'm not going to say it's not true because it's something that I feel like we can fact check eventually. But that just seems a little unlikely to me.
Yeah. Bethany tells Rachel that she's heard of things like this happening before, like someone refusing to film or be a part of a show until they get what they want. So, like, maybe. But one, I don't trust Bethany's ass. Mm-mm. And two, like, look me in the eye and tell me you cannot imagine Tom Sandoval lying to Rachel that he's getting a producer credit to try to seem cooler than he is.
Also, the way she worded it was that he was offered one. So we actually might not be able to fact check it. And so that's a much better lie because you can be like, I was offered a producer credit, but I turned it down. So don't look for my name in the producers because I said no. Like, so of course, he probably did lie to her because he's like, but I didn't want it. I turned it down. And, like, she'll never know if that's true or not.
Yeah. I can literally picture him being like, yeah, they offered me a producer credit, but I don't need it. I got so much going on right now.
Yeah. So Rachel claims that Kristen had just started talking about abuse allegation or alleging that James had abused her throughout their relationship, which is true. Kristen has, like, alluded to and kind of mentioned this in her podcasts.
Yeah.
But here's the fun part. Rachel thinks that Bravo gave Kristen a spinoff as hush money to silence her about James. I have lots of questions here. First, wouldn't that have made really good TV to, like, watch someone? I don't understand. Also, this is jumping to part 3, but Bethany talks about how only negative stuff makes really good TV, like people going to prison, people having affairs, people whatever. So again, why would this not make good TV? I'm just confused. But then Bethany says she's heard people talk about this specifically before, Kristen and James, and that something was cut from the show about it, which I also just think would be weird. Yeah. I just don't know what this allegiance they think that Bravo has to James Kennedy is.
Yeah. Well, also and I said this to you, when I want someone to shut up about something, I don't give them a platform to talk on.
Yeah.
If I wanted her to hush, I would just give her hush money. I wouldn't give her a fucking show.
Or you let her keep running her mouth, but she has no affiliation to you, so you just say, that bitch is crazy, and we made her mad,
yeah,
and
we fired her because she was racist.
Yeah,
anyway.
She's butthurt, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know why they would hire her back. That doesn't make any sense. But Rachel believes that he has been physically abusive. She says that, she has known him to be a very violent person, which I will say, I would not be shocked at all by. Yeah. I do personally think that James is better at this point, but she is right that there should be justice for any abuse that he committed against anyone.
Yeah.
Bethany then starts saying, I want to ram my head into a wall. That she didn't say that. I wish she had. Bethany starts saying that Bravo rewards bad behavior, referencing James. But isn't that what you just said you wished Bravo would have done for Rachel? They're mad because they're Tom did bad stuff and then he gets a producer credit. James does bad stuff and then they give Kristen a show, which I still don't even understand how that's a reward for James. But then they're but why didn't you get paid more for fucking someone's husband?
Yeah.
What?
Do I think it's worse to physically abuse someone than fuck someone's boyfriend? Yes.
Of course.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
If one of them is going to be rewarded for their bad behavior, I guess it should be Rachel.
Sure.
But I don't think either of them should be, and I think it's really fucking weird for you to imply that you deserve more money for your bad behavior, and then 5 seconds later be like, are they giving people rewards for being assholes?
Yeah. Yeah. Rachel also claims, which I think we all knew, that Vanderpump Rules would have been canceled soon, probably wouldn't have even been renewed for season 11, but Scandival pretty much saved that. I will say, we did already know that a spinoff was coming. We thought that a spinoff was going to replace Vanderpump Rules, that now that they're all old and boring, we'll get a show about them being old and boring and living in the valley. We thought that it would include Tom and Ariana and include Tom and Katie. We've been hearing rumors of this for years. So, again, I say, I do not think that the spinoff was handed to Kristen after she started talking about James. I think this was in the works. Now, should we question why someone who was fired for being racist is being brought back? Sure. I would love to ask that question. But that's not even the problem Rachel has. So I don't understand.
Yeah, that's not why it's bothering them.
Yeah. Rachel then complains that she's not getting residuals, even though people are going back and rewatching Vanderpump Rules. And I will say, this is a fair complaint. However, it is unrelated to Bravo or the Scandival because this is the exact reason that writers and actors are striking in Hollywood right now. Because with streaming services, no one gets residuals. That's the whole fucking problem. So why on earth or how would Peacock give just Rachel Leviss residuals, but fuck everybody else? Fuck these actual actors. Here, you have some residuals. I do not understand.
But the thing is, she literally does not comprehend anything unless it is something that is happening to her. She's all these people fucked James when we were dating. They're bad people. And then she's I don't understand why I'm not getting more money for fucking Tom.
But it's it's like because Bethany and her lawyers told her, like, that's justified, right? Like, I feel like, I don't know that she's even, like, I don't know that she was even thinking of that. But then they're like, hey, you know you could get more out of this, right?
Crazy. Crazy person.
Bethany then moves on to the reunion.
Bethany cries a lot.
Yeah. Bethany starts bashing Andy for, like, when Rachel walked off for asking her to come back, which, how many fucking reunions have been filmed? And that's just exactly how this works. But, I mean, basically she's claiming that, like, Rachel was experiencing abuse. She was being just, like, berated, and so she should have been allowed to leave. But what's gross is that Bethany bashes Andy for asking her to come back because he's a parent. Question mark. I don't... Okay. That's all I got.
You can't do your job as a reality TV reunion host because you have children, Andy.
Yeah. I don't understand.
Yeah. Also, though, they open part 2 saying that they're going to talk about the dog, and then they never talk about the dog.
They will.
Do they talk about the dog in part 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kristen responded to the portion of part 2 where her name was mentioned on her Instagram stories. She said that the parts she heard about James are true.
Yeah.
Aside from the hush money part, obviously.
Yeah.
She is still definitely vague about it, I think probably for a reason. She just got a new show on Bravo. But she specifically says, Rachel is not lying about things involving me and you know who.
Which I also feel like isn't shocking specifically with Kristen, because the way that Kristen has, like, maintained her hatred for James, I'm not trying to bash anyone who didn't have this thought, but I feel like if you thought about it hard enough, it would be silly not to think, like, there's something deeper here. Like, yes. I have always thought, like, ooh, he did more to her than what we saw, because, like, she still, to this day, if she mentions him on her podcast, is, like, fuming. So, like, yeah, I had a feeling there was a little more to their relationship.
Which I think is interesting, because he's friends with Katie now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, Lala's hugging Tom, like, right in front of Ariana. Like, I think that's kind of what happens when you're still filming together. Like, Kristen's able to just, like, absolutely cut him off, and other people do have to do their job, you know? But I don't know.
Yeah, I just think if I knew somebody was physically abusive to my friend, like, I don't think I'd be there, even for TV.
Yeah.
But I think, like, also, like you said, like, you can visibly see changes in James. Like, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. We don't know exactly what happened with Kristen, or if that has changed, or how that has changed in his life. So, like, maybe that's part of it, that, like, everyone is, like, he's different now.
Yeah.
I don't know. But obviously the clip she's talking about is the part where Rachel stated that she believed James was physically abusive with Kristen. Rachel reposted the videos on her own Instagram story with the caption, "Brave." And Kristen clarified several times that she like, this poor girl was making so many Instagram stories like, I have to clarify again, that she did not listen to the podcast episodes, and she says she is not speaking about any claims Rachel made except for this one.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, like, how do you think Bravo has to respond to this? Like, does it matter because no one who explicitly said it works with Bravo anymore? Do they have to respond to the accusations about James? Like, what do you think is going to happen moving forward?
I don't think that they have to respond. This is not the first time we've heard rumors about James specifically, at the very least being verbally abusive, but I think that we have heard people allude to the possibility that there is more to it. We did watch him spit toward Kristen, which is, like, assaultive behavior either way. So, like, I do not think that this allegation, like, really changes anything for Bravo, in my opinion. I think it would be up to James's previous partners to file charges. I think if a crime was committed, then, like, that's a personal issue, and, like, I don't know that, like, there's anything Bravo needs to do. If files or charges are filed, I think Bravo might need to, like, suspend him until it's solved, or, like, get rid of him. But I just, like, it's hard to know, and Kristen hasn't been, like, direct with what happened, so it's like, also, we've watched, not at all to say that this isn't true, or that Kristen would have deserved anything, but we have seen Kristen assault James, too, so, like, for all we know, there's a reason she's not said what happened between them, because maybe it involved both of them, or...
Yeah.
I don't know. So, I mean, I don't think Bravo has to respond. And yeah, the people talking about it, Rachel and Bethany, are basically disgruntled employees. So, you can probably ignore them, mostly. Okay, this next part is so unbelievably ridiculous, and you better not have read ahead, and I think you did, but oh my god. Oh my god! She opens... Part 3.
Sorry, hold on. I keep hitting things.
Rachel says that Andy mentioned in an interview after the reunion. So basically he was asked after the reunion, like, did you think she would make it through? How did she make it through? And he basically said, like, I didn't know if she would make it through. It was really brutal. Like, they were really hard on her. I do think she was probably medicated, is what he said. Okay? Rachel says this is a HIPAA violation. That is the most fucking absurd thing I've ever heard in my life.
Did Bethany agree with her?
Bethany did not correct her, and I was sitting there going, Bethany, I know you know better, baby. I know you know better, baby. Come on now. All Bethany said was, like, your employer... Well, Bethany was talking about them throwing the pill bottle and, like, the Xanax... And, like, somehow relating that to Rachel when it, like, had nothing to do with her. It was about Tom Schwartz. Yeah. Like, I don't even understand what she's talking about.
He wasn't even there.
Yeah. So she was saying that, like, that and then discussing someone's personal medical stuff, like, an employer cannot do that. Which, first of all, he does not have her medical information. He said he suspected something. Also, Andy Cohen is not her employer. They have the same employer. He's her superior. Like, he's over her. But, like,
higher ranking.
He's not her
Everyone's
boss.
Higher ranking than Rachel Leviss.
Like, come on now. More importantly, Andy Cohen is not a doctor, and he did not sign any HIPAA paperwork. Let me be clear. In my job, I'm bound by HIPAA because I signed something that said I'm bound by HIPAA. Andy Cohen did not sign a damn piece of paper that says I can't share medical records because guess what? He doesn't have them. He does not have any of the cast members' medical records. So I do not understand. It's
like there have been people at my work who have, like, had surgeries before, and my boss has, like, sent her on a meal train. Like, that's the equivalent of saying that, like, that's a HIPAA violation. Like, she disclosed my rotator cuff surgery. That's a violation of HIPAA.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Also, like, that's not a negative thing to say. Like, that's not something to be pissed about.
Yeah, and she said, I've been medicated for years. Okay. So it sounds like you're feeling shame. Andy wasn't trying to shame you. She also said, real quick, there was a second HIPAA violation. So when she went to treatment, she ran into a peer, and they knew her. Obviously, it's what a peer would be. And they said, hi, Raquel. Hi, I know you. And she said, hey. And then that person left treatment and went and sold to the tabloids that she was there. Okay. Also not a doctor. Not a HIPAA violation. It's shitty. That person should not have done that. When you're there to receive treatment, they shouldn't have gone and sold that. But, like, they don't owe you shit.
That's crazy.
They did not sign no paper. Who let her go on this podcast talking about fucking HIPAA? I can't. Okay.
Oh my god. Like, okay, also, like, I don't know if Rachel has ever been to a doctor's office, but a lot of doctor's offices will ask you on your intake paperwork how you heard about them. And you can check, like, that you have, like, a friend who goes there, and they'll
Referral.
ask you. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, it's like, if
Crazy girl.
I said to you, like, Mary, I have depression, and then you went and told people that, like, then I shouldn't have fucking told you. So, like, don't tell Andy Cohen your business, and
I have told people that.
And he won't have shit.
I told my doctor that.
What? Yes.
Because my doctor has asked me, have people in your family, like, I got into anxiety medicine a few years ago, and she was like, have people in your family taken this medication? And I was like, my dad took it and my sister took it. And she's like, how did they react to it? I want to know if you'll react the same way. Like, that's not a HIPAA violation.
But it's like, if you want your medical information to be a secret, then don't tell people. The reason doctors have to sign it is because they have to have it. But if you don't want to disclose it to a layperson, then don't.
Doctor-patient confidentiality does not
apply to random citizens.
Doctor-patient.
Okay. So, next up. Bravo refused to pay for her treatment.
Good.
Which is also confusing to me because she claimed in her original apology when Scandal broke, which, if we all listen to part 1 of Bethany Frankel's podcast, she fully stands by that apology. She said in that apology that she needed treatment for codependency, for whatever, for all of these, like, relationship things, like, that she was going to get help. She said that. So why would they pay for that? And now you're kind of now she's basically insinuating that the reason she went to treatment was because her castmates treated her so bad, because she was abused, because Bravo let this happen to her, which is why she thinks they should have paid for her treatment. But it's like, surprise, surprise, you can't have both. Either you needed treatment because of your codependency, or you needed treatment because people abused you. But, like, Bravo's not going to pay for your treatment for an affair that you chose to have.
Yeah. She really thinks, like, this is what she thinks happened. She thinks that she went on this show, and she was surrounded by people who made affairs seem okay. And then they isolated her so that she only had this one person in her life, and she had to fuck him. Because they made her fuck him. And none of that would have happened if Bravo hadn't made her go on the show, and hadn't made her work at SUR, and hadn't made her be around all these bad people who made her think it was okay. And that makes it their fault.
And it sucks.
And that is the cuckooest bird thinking I have ever heard in my fucking life.
Yeah, but it sucks because she was isolated, but it was because of Tom. Like, it, like, sucks because, like, that's what he did to you.
Because he's a dangerous person. And, like, here's the thing. The sooner she realizes that he is a dangerous person, and the sooner she openly admits that she was in a way victimized by him, the sooner people are going to sympathize with her.
Right. Yeah.
Like, but she's...
And they did at the end of the reunion episode when she was honest, or, like, seemed hurt by him in those last 5 minutes. Yeah.
She's victimizing herself at the expense of everyone else. And never him.
Yeah.
And that's, like, what makes it so hard to move on from it and move on from her, because she continuously blames Ariana instead of saying, like, you know what, I was in a relationship with a dangerous person. I was manipulated by a dangerous person, and I believed a dangerous person.
Yeah. Okay, I'll get to the doc stuff before I say basically, like, the ending. So, Bethany asks about the dog. I think, like, the highlights are that it's James's fault that I'll call him Graham for the time that Rachel had him. It's James's fault that Graham was a biter because James would encourage him to bite his hands, like, hard, and said he liked the sensation of it. So then she says that they sent him to the rescue because he bit her mom, all the stuff we already know. And that basically, like, they couldn't find a home for him, so they called Lisa Vanderpump. Lisa Vanderpump supposedly adopted him, but then Rachel found out that he was in Lake Tahoe with the cast, and she was like, what the fuck? So she said she called Lisa and was like, what the fuck? And she told Lisa all of these, like, reasons that James is an unfit dog parent. That's a quote. And basically, like, Lisa said, well, you should come back and have a conversation on camera, and you should come talk to him about this. Which, honestly, I believe that. Lisa in it for the bag. Like, she probably was like, can you come back and, like, have some drama on my show, please? So I'm not even gonna front. That's probably true. But, yeah. So basically, that's the rundown, is that it's James's fault that he was bad, and she feels very bad for him that he's now back in a home with James, because that is, like, unfit for him.
Who likes to be bit on the hand?
I don't know. And, like, I'm thinking, like, when I had my cat, our dad and my husband would, like, play with her, and she would scratch and bite them, and I'd be like, she gonna draw blood, dude. Like, she's gonna keep going. And they're like, oh, it's so funny. And so, like, I am picturing, like, it's probably possible. Like, it's probably, like, men are stupid, and they love to do stupid shit where they get themselves hurt, and they're like, hey, it didn't hurt. So it's like, I don't really doubt that. But this idea that James taught him to bite, like, so hard that he, like, nearly broke your mom's finger apart, like, I don't know.
How do you teach that?
I don't know. Yeah.
Like, I say this every day to my husband. Dogs don't know English.
Yeah.
So, like...
Yeah, but if you're letting them... I mean, if you have them do it all the time... But again, like, I don't think he was having Hippie or Graham bite so hard that he was, like, ripping chunks of skin off.
Right.
He wasn't...
I don't think we would have noticed.
Yeah, he's not making, like, a fighting dog, so...
Yeah. I let Cherry bite my hands probably more than I should. For the sake of others. But, like, I consider that, like, playing with her. Like, I'll, like, do this on her nose. People can't see this unless they're on YouTube. But I'll, like, do this on her nose. She does not like it, and so she bites my fingers. And, like, I don't know. I think that what she's describing is probably a very normal way to play with your dog, and she's making it seem like it's not.
Yeah. So it ends with Rachel saying she would absolutely never go back to reality TV. I think this is a great decision for her. She did, however, say she is planning to start a podcast. She did also say that she was in negotiations for season 11, and she would have come back if, first, they reimbursed her treatment, and second, if they paid her the same as both Tom and Ariana.
That's silly.
To which, I think most people know this, but, like, Bravo pays based on how long you've been there. So, like, Tom, who has been there since season 1, episode 1, and Ariana, who has been there since season 2, and been, like, a primary since those times, like, no, baby. No. That's stupid. Also, Lisa, if it takes three to make a Scandal, well, they're both in it, and they've been there longer, so they should still be making more than you.
Did you see the paparazzi video with Lisa?
Yes. 381,000. Yeah.
Like, also, like, we we watched Lisa basically tell Rachel not to come back to SUR.
Yeah.
On the reunion. So, like, if you're passing up that opportunity for $381,000 to film a reality show that has already ruined your life.
Yeah.
Come on, girl. Get your bag. Like,
yeah.
Make the most of it.
Yeah.
Turn lemons into lemonade.
Last thing she said was that she has a no contact policy with all of the cast members.
From her or from them?
From her. But that Tom does communicate with her through email.
Does she respond?
I don't know.
Stop emailing her.
Yeah. So, that's all we have. We've now gone well over an hour and a half. So, if you've made it this far, kudos. That probably also means you listen to Bethany Frankel's podcast. So, you've been spending a lot of time on this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will be back next week. Maybe we'll have more. Maybe it'll be a little shorter.
Fingers crossed.
Bye.
Bye. Next time on The Housewife Did It, Katie will tell Mary the story of the mysterious disappearance of Daniel Robinson from Arizona in 2021.
Follow us on all social media at Housewife Did It Pod. Housewife singular.